This is a film to review where I am so far in the process of putting this existing model together, and some preliminary review of integrating your drawn plan into what you have here. And I had gotten about this far along on these floors, second floor, and there's a lot of gray areas here for me, but I just used coursing dimensions. I used a county sketch. First of all, that's their sketch, and I think there's some errors here and there. But I used the county sketch and coursing dimensions of the shingles at 12 inches and the bricks at 8 inches or 8.3 or so per course to put together the rest of this plan in terms of where these windows are and how wide they are and all that. Now that this is put together, I would probably come over there the next time I'm in town and just take out some detailed dimensions all the way around this building. In any event, once I put together the model enough that the roofs were working and everything seemed to be agreeing with the photographs, then I used the photographs also and put together the county maps and put together the topography for this project. And that arrived me at this point here. And in developing this, even before the topography was put in, there were some further adjustments. Made, and this little series doesn't show them. This was after I had already raised the pitch of this roof here, so I definitely want to come by and confirm what the roof pitches are here. But this seemed to agree with everything if these shingles are 12 inches on center, or 12-inch tabs. And I measured this bricks at 8.3 of course. And so that's where I arrived at the front of this building. And this was the initial topography. And it kind of looks like, I think it's this, maybe this sidewalk slopes down a little bit more. But for our purposes, that was enough. Now back here, I believe you'll be able to see this shift. This was the first take. And yeah, then I had to raise that roof pitch. I had that at 10-12, and to get it where it comes up high enough to have the right number of courses above this, including that vent and everything, I had to raise this pitch to 11-12, and maybe I lowered this one to 9-12. I'm not going to check that right now. And then I put in these dormers, and those were all just spaced according to the roof shingles pretty much. But it's close enough for what we're working with and what we have to work with right now. And similarly from this end, here it looks a little different because the bottom moves down, but that's that roof pitch increasing. So I'm going to double check that. And the topography based upon my photos, where it was hitting here, where it looked like it was hitting your foundation here. And I think that's about it. Well, this is the last view from this side. You can see I brought this up. And again, all that surrounding topography that you saw in the film, that is all based on the county topographical maps. And these were just the elevations. Those red lines are your floor level 1, floor level 2, and that brighter green line is where I was mapping out where the terrain, or where the terrain is hitting your house. And so that's where I was with the model and the topography, and I was satisfied with those. And then I began to look at a few other things inside, put this film together for one, and I did want to cover some ground with you as well. In addition to this stuff about the roof pitches that I'm wondering about, there was some stuff inside that I want to review with you as well. So as I said, that model was put together with the coursing dimensions, and everything pretty much agreed in terms of how the roof is 5 inches per roof shingle going up and down, and all of those dimensions seem to agree. And I had kind of guessed that these walls might be 10-inch concrete walls, these foundation walls down here. So that will have to be ascertained for sure too, but I started with 10-inch foundation walls. We took dimensions for this steel beam and its columns, and here this was not agreeing with the dimensions we took. If those walls are 10 inches thick, we were going to be lacking about 5 or 6 inches on that. So, because our actual dimensions add up to 358 1/4. We had 364, and I went back and looked at the photographs outside, and it looked to me like the county sketch was showing this leg of the wall here, this leg of the brick wall, as 4 feet, and it looked to me like it was closer to 40 inches or so. So I brought this back in, whatever that was, and this is within an inch of what we measured down there. And we measured most of these columns going this way as well, and that seems to agree. I don't think I had this last dimension here, so that would be helpful to confirm. But otherwise, everything seemed to be lining up down there once I had pulled that in the 5 or 6 inches. And this was my starting first floor plan when I first started putting that first floor together, the interior, once I was done with the outside. And I located that. We took those dimensions as well, this 135. And these 3 here, all this up here is good. I did not take a dimension down here though. So it'd be helpful to double check that down here. Coming across here, I took dimensions as well, and this one I measured as 182 3/4. So I know that that was good, so I moved that back to 182 3/4, and then I knew this was 72 1/2 through here. And so I adjusted that. So all of these dimensions here are good. This one is unknown, but I'm pretty confident that the outside of this is 15, so this is probably pretty close. Down here, we don't know what that, I don't know what that one is exactly. But nevertheless, based on some, or those two there, nevertheless, based upon some of the other stuff, my photographs and some of the films and so forth, I began to put together this plan, what it looked like to me. And there's definitely some gray area here. This was about as final as I got on the plan, and this was guessing here because my photographs, films weren't too clear inside this room, and I didn't take any dimensions. But one thing I know is somehow wrong, and maybe it looks like there's 10 inches of wall here, and the shower begins here, and that this wall the plane of this wall comes in on this side of the window. It looks to, I don't know that this door is that far over there. I don't think this is that wide there. So it's not critical, and I will double check it next time in town, but any kind of clarity would help on that, and some of the other stuff back here, as well as some of these circled dimensions could be double checked. Then I began to try to see what was happening with your plan and get an understanding of where we were going with our plan inside. And so that was your big living room, I'm just going to call it the living room, That was that 15 by 26 or whatever it is. 15 by 26. And then this was the 21 foot 10 wide and 22 foot deep kitchen here. At that point I had begun to develop this as well. And so we have the kitchen and the living room, and then the master bedroom, it looked like it was backed up like that. And the rest of it was put together like this. It looked like you had a little more laundry space, and there's probably, this and that needs played with down here. That's kind of what I have now. This is that one toilet room, the other toilet room, sink, the shower. But yeah, this is the number of courses across here equals 180. So I don't think we're losing anything there. You can see it says 36 foot 5, and on your drawing it looks like you made a note 36 foot 8. So that would agree that 3 inches, but I don't see us picking up the 3 inches here. We knew the dimensions I took across here, that was all good. So that 3 inches got to be accounted for. But then the final part of this, the other parts of this that come in, is a covered patio outside this living space. North is up, so we have this covered patio to the west, and an office and a den down here, next to a connecting deck and patio. And this is upstairs, and I guess you guys were thinking of there could be a room created up in here. And I don't know if you were also thinking of, some of this is already mechanical here, but I didn't know if you were also thinking of capturing any of this space up here above that kitchen. But down here then, you showed, it looked like you showed a front porch out here, and so I guess this sidewalk is now going to be further from the house and come in this way. I want to make sure that I understand that correctly. And the rest of all this, as I said, I'd like to firm up a couple of these dimensions that I mentioned earlier. But otherwise, I can begin to kind of see where we can go with this. So feel free to let me know, if I've made any errors here in my thinking, if I've got anything wrong. I just want to put this together so that we start off from the same point. So this has been enjoyable so far. This is generally the harder part of it generally, putting together this existing structure. But I think it's all put together about accurately now. I'll be looking more, in more detail at what is all happening through here, because there's a lot happening through here. But I don't think I have any other preliminary thoughts at this point, and I will be in touch shortly. Thanks.